Hello Taurus, welcome to your tarot reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot. This is a timeless reading, which means that whenever you happen to be watching this reading was meant to find you. All right, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. Now, this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger. And I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. All right. Remember that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And there we have a Four of Swords. So I think this is going to be a very productive time in your life, okay? I think that there is some, it feels like there's someone very, very close to you that you're finally going to get some closure with, some resolution to some issue that's been kind of lingering between the two of you. We're going to go ahead and do our Dove and Serpent spread, but as I do this, I also want to say that if there is anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know in the comments down beneath this video. So we're going to continue with the Dove and Serpent spread. We've got a lot of a lot of energy here. Okay, there's a lot of major arcana. There are some challenging water signs, some water energies. Let's do our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card, and for that we're going to use the Rider-Waite-Smith. And this is the card that we are going to set aside. We're not going to look at this card until the very end of the reading, okay? We're going to leave it right there. And hopefully, at the end of the reading, it will tie this reading together and give us the confirmation that we need at the end, okay? So looking around here, we've got major. We've got some court cards here. We've got some air, some water, a little bit more water, a little bit of fire. It seems fairly balanced. Not really as much of the earth energy as I would like to see, to show that we are kind of taking a very kind of practical approach to things. But let's see what's going on, because this Four of Swords is a very good card. Okay, this is showing that we are able to find some resolution to some kind of a disagreement, some kind of, there's been a challenge with someone, and I don't know yet if it's maybe this air sign person that we see over here on the path of the serpent. I think it might be that, although I don't know that we have any specific indication of who the person is that we have this kind of disagreement with. It feels to me like there might be a romantic component, or at least a very close family tie. Okay, so it could be a family member, it could be a lover, a romantic partner, a spouse, something like that. Okay, very close connection. And I feel like there is this like argument that's waiting to happen, you know, but it's kind of like that argument that we need, right? It was let's go home and let's argue about this, because I feel like there's been kind of a stalemate that's been going on, right? Like it's something that you don't want to really bring up. You don't want to have the argument, but you know that once the two of you hash it out, things are going to be a lot better, right? A lot better. And we see that just with on the horizontal here, on the path of the dove, the horizontal axis here, we've got the Six of Cups. We've got this Four of Swords that leads us to this Lover's energy and to this Empress energy. So it feels like the only thing that's really preventing this relationship, again, if it's a close family member, if it's maybe a very close friend, or if it is a romantic partner, a lover, a spouse. The only thing that's preventing that relationship from really being ideal, the best ever, right, is whatever this kind of disagreement, whatever this miscommunication, whatever this conflict, whatever this friction is, as soon as this is resolved, and if we can resolve it in a mature and responsible and respectful way, I think this relationship is really top-notch, okay? Now, with the Four of Swords, you are someone who, you don't like conflict, You don't like to have these arguments. If people disagree, well, then they disagree, and it's just kind of let's just go our separate ways. Let's not continue to fight about it. But with the Four of Swords, I think you also have a very practical approach to conflict resolution. Okay, you may even be someone who, in your professional life, does a lot of conflict resolution, right? I think you probably know what I'm about to say. The best way to resolve conflict is to, one, you got to show up, right? You have to show up. You have to listen. You have to be willing to hear what the other person, the other side, has to say. You have to be respectful, right? We can't just kind of lash out and communicate from an emotional place, which we do see some of that on the path of the serpent with this Five of Cups. Okay. And then finally, the fourth kind of sword here is that we have to try to be unattached to the outcome, right? Even if the most reasonable outcome, what everybody can agree on, is not what is going to benefit us the most. We have to be okay with that, right? We're not going to come out on top of every situation that we're in, okay? So this could be an indication that there's a compromise needed, all right? And I kind of feel that what this might be based on, because we have the Princess of Discs at the top, we have the Death card at the bottom. So I feel like this might be an argument, a question, a debate, a kind of a disagreement about some very large change in your life, probably with this person. Okay, I don't know if it's about moving. I kind of get this like long distance travel kind of energy. I'm getting this idea that one or the other of you is really looking to start life over somewhere else or doing something else. Could be about a very major career change, a very major change in your living situation. And that, I think, is something that the two of you aren't seeing eye to eye on just yet. Okay? But with the Four of Swords here, I think that compromise is possible. And I think compromise is kind of the way forward to get from this Six of Cups through this Lover's energy and then to this Empress energy. We've got to have a little bit of compromise, right? We have to do these kind of these four steps of the conflict resolution: showing up, listening, being respectful, and not being so attached to the outcome, right? And that last step is the most difficult, of course. And we see that over here on the path of the serpent. So I do think that this is a relationship that's very meaningful to you. In the recent past, we see a Six of Cups. I don't know if maybe you have just recently gotten married to this person, or if this is kind of a new-ish relationship. It could be a family member. And if it is a family member, as in like a blood relation, I feel like you've always been close with this person, okay? If it's a family member, it could be a sibling. It could be a parent, though I'm not really getting a parent vibe. I'm getting more of a sibling kind of energy, maybe a cousin, something like that. I feel like you've always been close. And now there's this kind of divergence in life paths. Okay. Now, if also this is your spouse, I think we can safely say the same thing, that the two of you have gotten very close. Now, that maybe this is someone that you've always known, but maybe this marriage is something relatively new. But I feel like right now there is this kind of at a crossroads. There's this choice that really needs to be made, and I think the two of you want kind of very different things. You know, it's like one of you wants to kind of stay here and build where you are, doing what you're doing because it's productive, it's working, kind of a Princess of Discs energy, right? We want to just we want to enjoy the fruits of our labors right here, right now, with what we've got going on. But then there's another person, the other of you, with this death energy, kind of wants to start fresh somewhere else, right? Maybe there has been something connected with this current location or this current job or the current environment that you're in that really, and I think you Taurus, who are watching this, I think you're the one that wants to kind of wipe the slate clean, start over fresh somewhere else, okay? Because not only do we have the death energy down below kind of as your motivating force, we also have the Tower energy down here on the path of the serpent. So I feel like you really have this vibe of like wanting to sweep everything away, start over fresh somewhere else. But the other person, now, it could very well be that this is all taking place inside of you, right? But I feel like this is a lover, a close family member, a sibling, a cousin, something like that. They kind of want to stay where they are. They want to continue building on the foundation that they have here. It's like they've already set roots down here. And you really want to uproot everything and start over somewhere else, right? And so there is this, it's kind of a stalemate. You're kind of at an impasse with it. What do we do? How do we compromise on something like this where it feels like it's an either-or situation, right? It feels like there is really just this, these two options, and that's it. So I don't know if there is a third option that would work. We have the Lover's energy here right in the middle of things. And this, along with the Four of Swords, this is really showing me that a compromise is needed. There needs to be a discussion about this, because with the silence that I think has been going on lately, right? Just kind of not talking about it. I feel like that is causing a deeper rift between the two of you. I feel like you're getting further apart. So by approaching this situation with maturity and respect and love and closeness and, intimacy, maybe there is a compromise that can be established here. Okay? Because the Lover's card here, this is showing me that the two of you really are meant to be together. Now, I'm still kind of leaning towards a romantic thing as being a spouse or a significant other. And I feel like the two of you really are meant to be together. There's a lot of love between the two of you. There's a lot of strength, a lot of bond. Kind of jumping around a bit, but we have this Nine of Wands in the environment. So I think that this is a symbol of the energy and the strength and the bond between the two of you. I think that you may have undergone some sort of very serious situation together, and that has strengthened your bond. Okay? To the point where the two of you are inseparable. And now maybe it is because of, maybe this is that serious situation that the two of you, I dare say a tragedy that perhaps the two of you endured together, that has really strengthened your relationship, really solidified the bond between the two of you. It could be because of this serious situation that you really kind of want to cut and run, right? You want to just get out of here. The other person is saying, well, we have roots here. We should stay here and we should rebuild here, So it feels to me like there is this impulse in you, like I said, with this devil energy, there is this impulse to just wipe everything clean, just kind of, really clear the board and set up again, And that may very well be the best choice, but this isn't really about the choice, I don't think. This is about how we are approaching this problem with our loved one, okay? And I think we need to do it again in this kind of Four of Swords mode with we have to show up. We have to get in the room and say, okay, we're going to talk about this. And we have to listen and be respectful. We have to really hear what the other person is saying, where they're coming from, what this means to them, right? And we have to make the best choice, not based on our own self-interest, but based on what is going to be the best for everyone involved, which I think are the two of you. What's going to be the best outcome for everyone? And we do see the best outcome here with this Empress energy. This is family. This is being productive. This is finding success and happiness, love, affection, respect, right? Mutual love and affection. This is really the best outcome where everyone feels heard, everyone feels loved, everyone feels satisfied. And it really is kind of getting back to this closeness that we started with here. That, again, I feel that closeness is being threatened. It's kind of being pulled apart, the two of you, because there's the avoidance of this conversation, of this issue, right? And it could be that you've had this discussion before and you know that the two of you kind of want two very different things. So how do we reconcile that, right? I don't know. How do we find a third option? How do we compromise? Well, that's what we need to do. In some way, we need to activate this Four of Swords so that we can get to this outcome here, okay? This Empress outcome is really the best possible results for everyone involved. Okay. And now, over on the path of the Serpent, we've got the Tower energy. So I get a bit of a very heavy vibe with this card today. So I feel like the two of you did endure some hardship together. And I think that's what really brought the two of you closer together, strengthened the relationship, but also has now kind of caused this issue because now there's these two separate drives or strivings, one to stay and rebuild, the other one to kind of cut your losses and find somewhere else, right? And this could be all related to a work situation. It could be a broader family situation. It could be just something local in your community, some kind of a natural disaster or something. And I'm very, very sympathetic. And if you are going through some sort of hardship, you've got my thoughts and prayers. And I hope that you'll reach out to whatever resources are available to you to get whatever kind of assistance you need. Okay. But I feel like this is kind of in the past, right? I feel like this has happened and now we're in the rather precarious position of like, what do we do now? Do we stay or do we go and just find somewhere else? Get as far away from here as we can, right? So we have to, I feel with this card, we have to be aware of the impulse that we have. Because of this event, now we have this striving, this drive, this impulse to just destroy the whole thing, just to tear it down and drive away as fast as we can, okay? And I think a lot of that impulse is coming from the emotion tied to really the seriousness of what happened, okay? And I don't want to speculate what it was, but it was something serious enough where you are ready to just kind of leave everything and drive away, right? And I understand that impulse, but I also think that there needs to be a little bit of this Four of Swords, a little bit of calm, peaceful, respectful, mutually heard and understood dialogue here. Not a debate, not a fight really, not really an argument, but more of a dialogue, I think, that has these four kind of components, right? We're trying to show up and listen, be respectful, and be a little bit unattached. And the unattached part is important because I think that this event, this Tower event, I think is still so fresh in your mind that you're almost acting from emotion, right? And I understand that, right? It's so intense. You have this desire to just leave it and run, We have to put that in check a little bit. And I think that's what this Queen of Swords is doing up here. This is in the position of your fears and worries. But this card here is about getting a kind of clear head about it, thinking objectively, finding some clarity, finding maybe a higher point of view, a different point of view at least. This is rising above the tumult of this tower incident and trying to get a bird's eye view of the situation, right? Trying to be objective. Trying to not act from the emotion that's coming off of this tower energy. And I think that's your worry and your concern, because I don't think you really feel that you can separate yourself from how this feels, right? And that's kind of a larger question. I think even larger than how do we find a compromise in what to do, literally which direction to take. But how do we even begin to see this from an objective point of view? How do we even begin to rise above this tower energy to see things with a calm, clear perspective? It seems rather impossible, right? And I think this is the challenge for you. This is the obstacle, is to really kind of settle your heart down, right? Let this kind of tower energy quiet down a little bit and really assess things with a clear heart and a clear mind. And it could be that this clarity that we're kind of looking for comes by way of this calm, respectful dialogue that we're talking about, right? So it may be that these two are really going to help each other, that you're going to see things clearly. That's going to help you when you have this dialogue with your significant other. And through that dialogue, you're going to be able to see things a little bit more clearly from a different kind of point of view, maybe a higher perspective. I think these two go hand in hand, and they help each other. The final card that we see on the path of the serpent is the Five of Cups. So this is telling me that the emotions aren't going to go away. You're not suddenly going to be like, tower, I'm over it. It's, no big deal. You're not going to get over it. You're not going to forget. You're not going to completely divorce yourself from your emotions. But you're going to allow those feelings to exist on their own plane, for their own purposes, in their own sphere of your being. And they're not going to intermingle with your kind of conflict resolution, rational mind, objective thinking that's respectful and peaceful, calm dialogue. Okay? We have to keep these two cards separate. Maybe we should hold them like that. So you're not denying your emotions. You're not cutting yourself off and divorcing yourself from your emotions. But you're not allowing those emotions to really get in the way of this Four of Swords. And that's a lot easier said than done. I know that. But that's the work. That's the work. And perhaps if we use some of our striving for clarity, we use some of this air energy to say, okay, emotions, I hear you, I feel you. I acknowledge you, and I accept you, and I allow you into my life. But you're not going to overwhelm me. This is not going to be a flood. This is not going to completely drown me. This is not going to wash away any of my objective thinking, any of my plans. It's certainly not going to get in the way of the wonderful relationship that you have, And so we use some of this air energy to acknowledge the water, and then also say, okay, I've felt you, and I understand. I'm trying my best to understand. I need you to kind of quiet down for a second so I can go have this discussion, And again, it's a lot easier said than done. I don't know that it's ever possible to really get an objective point of view, or to be completely detached from your emotions for any amount of time, right? For even a split second. But we can strive for that so that we can get somewhat of an objective point of view and figure out what to do in this situation. Now, I want to look at this mystery card. Because I for the life of me, can't figure out how we can reconcile these two kind of opposing wills, right? One wants to stay, one wants to go. Well, can you go temporarily? Can you stay for a little while and then go? I mean, what is the compromise here, you know? And I don't know if it's so much about the compromising, but about finding the kind of the more objective, more detached vantage point, you know? Looking at this from a different angle. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you'll see things a little bit more clearly, and you'll realize that these aren't two different paths, right? That these are really the same path. It's just kind of two different routes, maybe, to get to the same objective, which is the same. The objective really is safety, security, integrity, love, affection, beauty, a happy, healthy relationship, family, stability, you know, all of this stuff, right? The details are, well, do we do it here? Do we do it somewhere else, right? But I don't think there's any issue that this is your person, you know? If the two of you are together. Now, this could be like I said, it could be a sibling, it could be a cousin or something, but it feels like it's a very close, like, life partner, romantic partner, spouse, domestic partner, something like that. And we do have the Fool as the mystery card here. So this is kind of more air energy, for one thing. But this is the Fool that is kind of just is willing to go along with anything, because anything has the potential to be everything, right? You can have everything from nothing. So this is kind of this is an objective point of view in some ways, but in other ways, this is the exact opposite of an objective point of view. This is kind of saying that, look, it doesn't matter where I go or what I do. It doesn't matter whether we stay with the Princess of Discs or we kind of cut our losses and run with this Death card. It doesn't matter what the details are. It doesn't matter where we go or what path we take. It's kind of this thing, as long as we're together, you know? So there's a little bit of freedom in that, realizing that the location doesn't really matter, right? It's not what you're doing, but who you're doing it with. That reminds me of a Dave Matthews song. I don't know if you knew that, but I'm kind of a Dave Matthews fan. Oh, don't tell anybody. So this is kind of the freedom that we get from realizing that, okay, the details really don't matter. As long as we have this love, as long as we're on this horizontal path that we want here, the other kind of forces, the goals, the objectives, the details, the routes that we take to get there, all of those are fine, and whatever seems like the best option is fine with me, as long as we have what we have, right? As long as we have this Empress energy, this Lover's energy, as long as we're doing it together, right? So it's kind of a confirmation in some ways. It's kind of an opposition to this trying to be objective and trying to really reason and rationalize and have this dialogue that creates the best plan. Everybody agrees on it. In some ways, this is just like, hey, you decide. I'll do whatever you want as long as we're happy, as long as we're together. And I'm not saying that you should just completely acquiesce and not have an opinion. But if we can just get a little bit of a lesson from this Fool. This Fool is showing us how we can be unattached. Remember, the fourth sword here is being unattached to the outcome. The Fool is unattached. The Fool is as unattached as a person could get. Okay, the Fool is the symbol of unattachment. Okay, so a little bit of a lesson from the Fool. That's kind of how we can be unattached. Even though, yeah, maybe it's not our ideal outcome. We're not super happy with the decision that we've made as a group, as a couple. But I'll remember the Fool. I can be okay with it. If I have to kind of compromise, I can be okay with that. So take a little bit of a lesson from the Fool. I'm not saying you've got to go 100% Fool detachment, but take a little bit of a lesson from that Fool. Anyway, we're gonna we're going to do the extended now. If you want to stick around for that, please click on the link right up here. And then you can have access to all of the extended readings for all of the videos, for all of the zodiac signs. Okay. This was your timeless tarot reading, which means that whenever you happen to be watching this, it's the right time for you to see it. Okay. Thank you very much for letting me read for you here on Dove and Serpent Tarot.